All right, it's that time again. We're gonna watch another Sargon of Akkad video. This is from his podcast of the Ass Eaters. This is 5 reasons why political correctness is nonsense. But I really wanted to showcase this beautiful thumbnail. Say no to communist subversion of language. Fascinating. I'm sure this is going to be very, very interesting.
The notion of political correctness is a complete fiction, and I will explain why in unnecessary and pedantic detail.
Good, fantastic. I want to make sure I truly understand what you're saying here.
The notion of political correctness is a complete fiction, and I will explain why in unnecessary and pedantic detail.
Okay, is an unnecessary fiction. The notion of political correctness is an unnecessary fiction, and that it doesn't need to exist, or it doesn't exist whatsoever. Okay, I just want to make sure. Maybe I should even write down what the overall concept that we're supposed to be working from the very beginning of this video. Let's go, man. Tell me.
For decades, we've heard left-wing activists, which I'm generously going to describe as people, tell us that such and such a statement is not politically correct.
It's fascinating when somebody who has argued for the humanity of people, even egregious, shitty people, then just tossing that aside because it serves them politically. Okay. All right.
Well, first we must ask, what politics are the correct politics exactly? It is not like there is any kind of political consensus in any country, nor could there be, outside of the most committed of ideological tyrannies. Why should we choose one kind of politics over another? Speaking of ideological tyrannies, it is from the worst of them that the term political correctness was ignominiously birthed.
Okay, that's fascinating. All right, let's figure this out. Etymology, political correctness. Because he might be right. The term first appeared in Marxist-Leninist vocabulary following the Russian Revolution of 1917. I should have seen that coming. That the term political correctness, of course, communism. Okay, fascinating.
According to Angelo
hang on. I'm fucking...
Codevilla, a professor of international relations at Boston University, the term originated from Soviet communists in the 1930s. As the joke went, "Comrade, your statement is factually incorrect." "Yes, it is," replies his friend, "but it is politically correct." As Codevilla put it, the notion of political correctness came into use among communists in the 1930s as a semi-humorous reminder that the party's interests is to be treated as a reality that ranks above reality itself.
I see. So the term itself is communism. Well, that's interesting because I'm looking at an article here, and I remember this very specifically, in the late 1990s, the usage of the term had again decreased, but is most frequently employed by okay. In the early 1990s, the term was used by conservatives to question and oppose what they perceived as a rise of liberal left-wing curriculum and teaching methods on a university and college campuses in the United States. Now, then also by comedians to lampoon political language. The whole concept of political correctness is utilized contemporarily by somebody who is rallying against pushback by society, saying that something is not acceptable by and large, and people fighting back against that. But the people who overwhelmingly use that now are people who are specifically trying to push against society enacting its own sense of moral or ethical code.
So, to say that something is politically correct, one must be in line with the current iteration of leftist orthodoxy. Well, that sounds like an impossible challenge, given how leftist orthodoxy has become a roiling mass of critical theorists, constantly deconstructing one another's statements, with new terms being invented and destroyed constantly by many tens of thousands of people who are engaged in the impossible mission of trying to construct something that can't possibly exist.
Okay, what's fascinating about this too, what's really fascinating about this, is right now there is an overt and intentional attempt to silence and to censor certain areas of academic thought because they believe that it is politically incorrect to teach it. Strange. Like, there are bills being put out there to ban the teaching of not only just critical race theory, but then what they would lump under critical race theory, which is just teaching about the history of racism. And they want that banned because from their informed politics, it is incorrect. What's the fucking difference? What's the fucking difference? Yeah, it is. He did get a suit that finally fits him. Yeah, that's true.
Secondly, we must ask, why should I be forced to adhere to this standard? I'm not a communist. I don't like communism. I repudiate communism.
Yet if enacting political correctness and enacting a will, a metric by which to judge an idea or something that is correct to put forward in society, why do you use that very same tactic when you're trying to tear apart the ideas that you don't like either? You're doing the same fucking thing. You're doing the same thing. What's the fucking difference? Well, I'm right and they're wrong, and it's communism. Well, then why are you using communism, Carl? Why are you such a fucking communist?
I consider communism to be an immoral assault on the natural rights of human beings, a project of horror.
Then why are you doing it? Why are you doing a communism, Carl?
That pathologizes segments of the population as appropriate for destruction because of the things they think or the property that they own. Why would I consent to be judged by an ever-changing standard that I consider to be, in a word, evil?
So then, don't. Just ignore them. Just fucking ignore them. Like, I don't understand. Somebody's like, well, you're being politically incorrect. Well, fuck you. I don't care. Fuck off. Just say that. Just do that. Just fucking do that. I mean, is there something like chat? Do we have any UK people in chat that can tell me whether or not there is like a some degree of force or political pressure or power that is making it so you can't just tell people to fuck off if they say you're being politically incorrect? Does that even fucking exist right now? I'd be curious, you know? I mean, if you guys have like hate speech laws that are way more like oppressive than, say, the States, well, then the problem isn't necessarily with political correctness. It's the problem with your fucking laws, bro. In the UK, causing offense is prosecutable? Wow. Really? Is that very common to be like prosecuted for? I mean, like, I'm wondering if it's like, if there's a line or how bad it can get, you know? How is it that we managed to do freedom so much better than you, Carl? What is that? What is that? The UK government is trying to bring in more right-wing cop powers to ban protests. The Conservatives are currently in charge. More right-wing cop powers to ban protest. To ban protest, it sounds like you're using communism for politically to enact your own political values of correctness, Carl. That's strange. The line is how much money you have. Yeah, well, that's capitalism.
How could this result in anything other than the victim of political correctness forever tap dancing as activists fire words like racism, misogyny, transphobia, and etc. at their feet to keep them from ever finding peace and security?
Wait. You can't find peace and security because you say things people find politically incorrect and they say, hey, you're being politically incorrect, and that just means that you'll never be secure and you can't be happy or anything like that? What? And I can tell that the forces of the woke, the oppressive woke enacting their political correctness have really, truly beaten you down, Carl. You have this massive fucking platform and spouting off this inane shit. Like, wow, dude. It sure seems like communism has really, really hurt you. What the fuck?
Words I might...
Yeah. Count Dankula did get fined for that. That was bullshit. That was bullshit. I mean, look, when it happens, when that kind of thing does happen, I disavow that. I'm very comfortable being like, that's not fucking cool. That seems dog shit. No pun intended. It's so fucking strange to me. I don't understand how, like, you can actually, well, okay, here's the thing. I think Carl knows 100% that if you take one half a step backwards and you take the argument and you apply it broadly, you can see how it's enacted from both sides and how both sides, through their own informed politics, enact pressure and that their own morality or set of ethics to try and correct society. They both do it. Like, but the thing is, it's not going to serve Carl to include his audience in that self-awareness and that honesty. Instead, he is at a much more bigger advantage if he intentionally keeps his audience uninformed, and that way they can feel persecuted. Because if you can convince somebody that they're persecuted when they're not, you can control them in much deeper ways.
Might add that are themselves in the same continual process of redefinition as the hypothetical politicians attempt to further perfect something that cannot definitionally be perfected. I am a liberal of the old type. I am concerned with individual liberty.
Classical liberalism. You're a conservative, buddy. Just fucking say it. It's 2022, and Carl is still too chicken shit to call himself conservative. Just fucking come out of the goddamn closet. Nobody is convinced anymore.
Property rights and government restrictions. I don't care if someone is potentially offended by something that I've said, nor do I feel the need to try and keep up with and adhere to the latest fashions in communist thought. I'm interested in maintaining and continuing the...
Is that why you're making videos about it all the time? You're not interested in it, which is why you're making videos constantly over it. Okay.
Country that inherited these values, not attempting to modify reality in order to conform to the deductive politics of delusional radicals. My third objection is that I'm not interested in creating universal rules that will prevent potential offense to some people.
Except when it comes to, like, immigration or standards of culture. Aside from those things, yeah.
To who? We don't know. But these hypothetical people who might be offended are constructed in any kind of politically correct calculus to judge me by the fact that I'm not a communist. This is the standard to
a person that totally exists, sure.
which people arrogantly claim to be the victims of my opinions by identifying a particular category of statements that they claim are uniquely emotionally hurtful to them. But I don't know them, and I have no obligation to curate what I say to suit their tastes.
So don't. But don't whine when they're doing the same thing back, dude.
They have no claim over me, and I do not intend to give them one. Moreover, I don't want to actually be complicit in the inevitable failure of this new communist project, as subtle as it has apparently become. In fact, I see it as a moral obligation.
It's a new communist thing, which is why I was citing how it comes from the 1930s and it's all rooted in communism. But this new communism thing, it's very, shake a finger, argue, shake a.
To do one's best to oppose it in every form, but political correctness conscripts me into this scheme through moral imposition based on people who may not even exist. Fourth,
Well, how are you in any way, what imposition is being levied against you? Like, how is Carl suffering under the oppression of political correctness? How is Carl such a victim? Like, in what way? How is he being victimized? How is he being downtrodden? What, because people think you're a piece of shit? What? It's that fucking meme of cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is real. Just close your eyes, dummy. Haha. Like, what the fuck, dude? Which I don't necessarily agree with, but like, like I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like, this is so, this is so fucking oppression baiting. It's bizarre, and it's trying to come from this like place of stalwart strength, and it doesn't work. And also, is anybody else getting the vibe that this is kind of like his copium because he couldn't become an actual politician? Like, he fucked that up so bad, so now this is his, like, political pulpit, you know? My fellow shitlords, we are being victimized by the communist political correctness, which is why we must ban CRT from schools and oppose all wokeness and have it banned and stricken. Also, no more darkies in the UK. Fucking.
A priori politics as a concept makes no sense at all. A priori is a philosophical term, which means concepts derived by the process of reasoning without reference to particular facts or experience. It is something done purely analytically. For example...
No, wait. No. So, like, this is so fascinating. He loves to talk about a priori.
Philosophical term, which means concepts derived by the process of reasoning without reference to particular facts or experience.
So, a priori is without facts or evidence or data. It's just rationalizing things, thinking about shit. No facts, no data, just thinking about shit.
It is something done purely analytically. For example, we can a priori know that a triangle has 3 sides or all bachelors are unmarried, because the information contained within the definition of words themselves. We don't need to see an absence of 4-sided triangles or married bachelors to know that they don't exist.
Without arguing that, without arguing that, which I could totally argue both of those things. I could totally argue both of those things, but it's just getting into semantic arguments, which has just as much fucking validity and weight argumentatively as fucking surface level a priori dog shit. Sargon will also use a priori as a justification for why he can deny science. He's done it so many fucking times. It's hilarious.
Politics is the science of governance, coming from the Greek word politika, meaning the affairs of the cities. At its most base, most Machiavellian interpretation, politics is the management of power, which resides in people and institutions in the real world. The information about each locus of power within a society is not contained within the definition of the locus. We can't a priori know much at all about politics because politics is entirely contingent on our experience of the real world.
Fascinating. Okay. Fascinating. I don't really know how any value that necessarily has, and I'm pretty sure you can make plenty a priori arguments based on political aspects. I don't see why there would be a problem with necessarily finding a way to do that. It's just comes down to like what the value of a priori thinking is. It largely depends on what you're fucking talking about. Yeah, this is very strange. Okay, but what's your point?
You might think, for example, that power resides in the government, but does it? Governments wax and wane in power depending on the circumstance, which is why Lenin was able to overthrow the provisional government of Russia. You might think that power resides in the people, but does it? Are the people of China the locus of power in the face of the communist regime that has a grip on their country?
I love when people have to make China is big bad, also China communism. The current state of China is so beyond just as simple they're bad because communism. Like, holy shit, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, no. Sorry, bro.
Probably not. We can't know where power actually resides until we look at the circumstances, because the nature of the people involved is part of the complex web of factors that determine what is and is not powerful.
Sure, I'll agree with you on that. A really good example is here in the United States, we try and have a dialogue about who actually has the power. In theory, we are supposed to have power of the people. And those people elect representatives. Those representatives act as our spokespeople to vote on issues according to the will of the people. Do they do that? Often, no. Often, no. And we give them that power. Now, we should then be able to vote them out if they do a bad job. Are we able to do that? Often, no. Often, it's simply a matter of convenience and banking on the complacency of people in the body politic who just want to go with something that they understand and are otherwise uninformed. So who has the most institutional power in my country? Largely, I would say lobby groups. Lobby groups based upon the whims and wishes and money of special interest groups and corporations. Is that an enactment of power according to the values that we have been told we should have? No. Is that a problem? I would say yes. Some would disagree.
Fundamentally, political power is based on the opinions and reactions of the people in a system, which cannot be known in advance of experience. This makes all politics not a priori, but a posteriori.
If you reduce it down to like such a base, insubstantial fucking level, sure. But I like, honestly, I think given the current circumstances that we have in the United States, I think trying to make this like determination between the two is useless and inappropriate.
A priori politics is simply not a correct way of looking at the subject, and these left-wing theorizers of politics are flat out wrong about what politics is and how it can be determined. It is impossible to have a priori knowledge of something that depends on the circumstances of the world. Such knowledge is contingent and can only be learned by experience.
I don't even know what he's exactly supposed to be referring to. Is political correctness determined from a priori philosophical thought or something like that? This is so fucking bizarre. Yeah, dude, I'm confused what the hell this has to do with anything, too. This seems like some fucking mushmouth, like smooth brain attempt at levying some sort of like philosophical argument against political correctness somehow.
Which leads us to point 5. Since political correctness as a concept presupposes that there can be such a thing as a correct politics, that political right and wrong can be deduced without any study of the world, if you don't consent to this hypothesis, then you must be wrong.
Ah, there it is. Okay. So this is what he's trying to do. Okay. He's trying to claim that political correctness is based upon a conceptual notion that there is things that are right and things that are wrong, and that is just informed deductively or a priori. Whereas his argument against it is that because politics is informed by experiences, which is a stupid fucking thing to say, then that's wrong, so political correctness can't be right. Again, Carl enacts his own sense of political correctness, constantly, loudly, arrogantly, and with very little to back it up, or oftentimes just straight fucking lies. So the notion that it's bad over here because they do it, but I'm not, even though I'm doing the same fucking thing, is bizarre to me. It's absolutely fucking bizarre. So in that notion right then and there, you can dismiss this whole fucking argument. But even more so, and I think this is probably the most salient point that I want to make in this video, political correctness is not something that is collectively decided. It is an organic process by which society itself goes through. It's amorphous and it's alive. It melds and it meshes and changes with the turning of seasons, and it's informed by culture. Like, if you just try and say that political correctness is all about like an exertion of power by a political group, you are missing out on the most important aspect of all, which also tells me that Carl either is willfully ignoring it, or 2, is truly a dumb fuck of the nth degree and does not know any actual political, like, philosophical thought beyond what allows him to fucking jack off over thinking he's such a smart motherfucker, is that political correctness, the ways in which we have conformity enforcers to make sure there's a maintenance of standards and ethics and protocols by which society should operate, or diversity generators that morph it and change it and challenge it and cause it to flow and shift. That these are the aspects. The shift and change in culture is what informs our ethics of standards and our acceptance of ideas. That is the fucking concept. That is how political correctness, which you could just say is societal ethics, societal morality, or whatever the fuck you want to say, depending on what kind of argument you want to make. It comes from culture. Carl, sleepy-eyed Carl here, just wants it to be overt communism and just ignores the entire fucking reality of the situation. It's so lazy, shit, dick, and pretentious.
This dictatorial demand that other people recognize your theoretical construct as being perfect is a kind of intellectual dishonesty.
See, it's all manufactured. It's a big fucking, like, manufactured machine that they've done. Bullshit.
It doesn't exist, so I can't observe it to see what flaws have manifested themselves, leading the theorist to assume that it means that the lack of identified problems with their non-existent system means there will be no problems from this non-existent system.
There has never been a person in the world who is in that position, nor has ever thought that, but go off.
And if you disagree with said perfect system, you are either malignant or stupid, which is an accurate description of the people who are promoting it in the first place.
Projection, thy name is Akkad.
With no experience of running a state or any idea on how their theories will impact the world, they confidently pronounce that anyone who objects to their imaginary reality is evil or ignorant.
Again, you could say the exact same thing about you. Do you have a lot of experience in running a state, Carl? Do ya? Do ya, buddy? Also, arguing again, at this point, like right now, he's arguing against people having any kind of collective power. He's arguing against it. Like, we shouldn't listen to the people that are rallying around a concept, an idea. We shouldn't listen to them because they've never run a country. What? Wow. Okay.
What an absolute circus this line of thinking becomes.
Yeah, dude.
It is this misunderstanding of the world that lies at the heart of the failure of every single communist system that's ever been implemented.
It's all
the
communism.
Application of a theory to a world which does not fit said theory leads to the destruction of the old order, the chaos that follows from having the institutions of life upended, and all that follows from it.
Because that's happened a whole lot, you know, in the UK, in the United States, in the past, like... in the past 20, 30 years, sure has happened a lot, you know. Yeah. This communist boogeyman that Carl's always, you know, shrieking about sure is effective. Wow. Diggity dang.
I don't care if someone is offended. I don't care if someone thinks they've
do.
identified the master ideology to solve all political problems, and I don't care how perfect their supposed utopia is going to be. I don't hold your politics, and there is no obligation on me to do so.
So why are you making a video about it? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I just don't understand, like, what his argument is supposed to be and how he can't just take, like, fucking 30 seconds to have some self-reflection in this. Yeah, it's very dramatic. Very, very, very dramatic, Carl. Let's get a good pause on this. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. No, come on. I want to get a mid-blink. Oh, dude, I fucking had it. Ah, you fuck. There we go. All right. Perfect. All right. We'll screenshot that one. That'll be the thumbnail. Yes, I am mean. I don't give a shit. All right. The main thing that I keep coming back to as I've been trying to analyze this is Carl grossly misrepresents what political correctness is. He has no self-awareness that he himself engages in that kind of thing. It's like the whole thing where right people like to cry out about cancel culture and how it's bad, And then they're like, oh yeah, but also these people who are doing things I disagree with, they should be fired, and nobody should listen to them, and they suck, and fuck those people. Why do we tolerate people like that? It's the same fucking thing. It's massive hypocrisy on a huge scale, and this is just Carl trying to justify his own hypocrisy with a bunch of mushmouth, nonsensical, makes no fucking sense philosophy, and blame everything on communism. Dun dun dun. Thank you, Carl. You made my day. This is wonderful. Fucking shit.